The best of the very best players tend to make first team All-NBA in the yearly basis. LeBron James about to make it for the 13th time in his career after the 2020 season, the most ever, while other all-time greats in Jordan, Kobe, Duncan, and Jabbar made first team at least 10 times. How's it going, guys? My name's Wilson. Today, we'll take a look at former greats who were never close to being the best player in the NBA, but guys who somehow snuck into the prestigious first team honors. In the last 30 years, 10 players you wouldn't expect to be on the list. Starting in yearly order, Chris Mullin. In an era with prime Jordan, prime Drexler, superstar Scottie Pippen, and John Stockton. At the guard spot, the front lines of Karl Malone and David Robinson on first team, plus other all-time greats in Barkley and Ewing making second team. The 6'6" small forward played his best basketball in '92, averaged 25.6 points on over 52% shooting. His 7th season with the Warriors, his most successful season with the franchise, 55 wins under Don Nelson. Run TMC's era ended the year before after Mitt Richmond was traded, ended up being a huge mistake. Mullin had a beautiful stroke, finished 6th in MVP voting. Jordan willed as the only player in Warrior history at the time to average 25 or more in 4 straight seasons. Super fundamentally sound. Mullin would be absolutely perfect in the modern NBA, understood the little details of the game, didn't have to take a lot of shots to score a lot of points, excelled in the run and gun style, even drew a few comparisons to Larry Bird, helped Golden State become the 3rd seed. The lefty sharpshooter would get an invitation to the Dream Team during the summer and competed with the very best of the best. Mark Price 1993 led his Cavs to 54 wins. The 28-year-old averaged over 18 points, 8 assists, almost 50% shooting, 42 from 3, 95 from the line in only 31 minutes of playing time. Made his 3rd or 4th career All-Star teams that season, good enough to edge out John Stockton for first team at the guard spot, a guy who averaged almost 16 points, 14 assists, and 3 steals. The 6-foot Price was a master at splitting the defense, the first point guard to show he can do that effectively. An excellent shooter, got to the rim with ease, and a great passer. He's not in the Hall of Fame since his career got cut short by injuries, gets overlooked amongst NBA greats since his team never stood a chance against Jordan. Otherwise, those Cavs could have made a finals or two. His impact and intangibles at the point guard spot, very similar to Steve Nash in the 2000s. Although Nash is a superior player, Price played in a time dominated by big men from the late 80s to the early 90s. There was a real conversation between Price and Stockton. If Price had the leadway and more freedom on offense, he would absolutely be a star in today's NBA with his incredible touch. Given the amount of threes he took back in the day, Price would be shooting close to 10 threes a game and convert them on a 40% basis. Latrell Sprewell 1994, the year Jordan retired, the second-year 23-year-old sensation was labeled the next MJ, 3 years before choking head coach PJ Carlesimo. In the roster with Chris Mullin and rookie Chris Webber, Sprewell became the best player on Golden State. 50 wins under Don Nelson, a 16-win increase from his rookie season, his first of 4 career All-Star appearances, and only All-NBA team selection. A very athletic player, excellent at iso ball, went from a good player as a rookie to a franchise player. Since Tim Hardaway sat out the entire season with a knee injury, nobody expected Golden State to be competitive. Sprewell even made all defensive second team, excellent at playing the passing lanes, combined with being hyped up by the media, had the flash, excitement, and highlights to his game, but swept in the first round of the playoffs. Sprewell continued being a good player, but never elite, and became somewhat forgotten after Jordan decided to come back. Tim Hardaway, one of the most underrated point guards all time in the 90s. People tend to think about John Stockton and Gary Payton, but the 6-foot Hardaway had insane handles, a killer crossover, averaged 20.3 points, 8.5 assists, 2 steals in the 97 season for a 61-win Heat team, finished 4th for MVP voting that year. Hardaway still not being in the Hall of Fame is an absolute travesty. Traded to the Heat in the middle of the previous year, the franchise was viewed as a laughingstock, just 42 wins, a 19-game increase, an instant game changer, never afraid to attack the bigs. Miami the biggest surprise of the 97 season. Tim led the franchise to the conference finals after coming back down 3-1 to the Knicks in the semis. The 97 Heat had excellent chemistry. The players were willing to sacrifice their numbers combined with playing suffocating defense. Speaking of suffocating defense, which leads us to Hardaway's former teammate Alonzo Mourning, playing in an era with loaded bigs in Shaq, Ewing, Robinson, and Olajuwon. Nobody expected Mourning to make first team above all, but in '99, 3 of those bigs were getting old, In the shortened lockout year, Mourning was also second in MVP voting, narrowly behind Karl Malone, led Miami to a 33-17 record, won Defensive Player of the Year. Although O'Neal was the more dominating center, his team won 2 less games than Mourning's Heat, the second best center behind Shaq. From the late 90s to early 2000s, Prime Zone never backed away from a challenge at the rim. Despite being undersized, Mourning was insanely strong. His overall numbers doesn't justify how dominant he was, since his defense was way better than his offense. His team would lose in the first round to the Knicks, would be battered by injuries after 2000, so had to get a kidney transplant, missing the entire 03 season, became a role player in limited minutes after that. Chris Webber 2001, Prime C-Web had it all, the post moves, rebounding, passing, at the height of his powers with the Kings, finished 4th in MVP voting, averaged over 27 points, 11 boards, 4 assists, over a steal, almost 2 blocks, 48% shooting for a 55-win team, up 11 from 2000. In a time where Duncan and Garnett were amongst the best power forwards, young Dirk was on the rise, but Webber was just as every bit as dominant as them. Whether it was on the block or out the perimeter, C-Web could do it all. His defense was also very underrated. His Kings would fall to the red-hot Lakers in the semis. Despite putting up 26 and 12 that series, Kobe and Shaq were just on another level. If it wasn't for the refs the following year, and his knee didn't blow out in 03, C-Web could have been a top 5 power forward all time. Yes, he was really that good. Amare Stoudemire 2007, the 6'10 center bounced back after playing just 3 games the season before on a 61-win Suns team, earned the first team nod over an injured Yao Ming and young Dwight Howard. The 24-year-old averaged over 20 points, almost 10 rebounds, nearly 60% shooting, his pick and roll of Nash unstoppable. At the peak of his athletic powers, an insane first step, often beat his defenders off the dribble. The 07 Suns, arguably the best Phoenix team in the Steve Nash era, having a 15-game winning streak. A week later, followed that up with a 17-game win streak, winning 33 of 35 games. The 2 losses were nail-biters, one in overtime to the Wizards, the other a 2-point loss to the 67-win Mavs. Yes, these Suns were that close to breaking the all-time winning streak. After nearly losing to Kobe's Lakers in 06 without Amar'e, Stat averaged over 24 and 13, beating the Lakers in 5, absolutely destroyed Kwame Brown. On the verge of evening the semis against San Antonio, it was an absolute travesty. Stoudemire and Boris Diaw accidentally stood up on the bench after Robert Ory's cheap shot on Nash, suspended for Game 5 in the 3-point loss, falling in 6. Many strongly believe the 07 Suns were robbed of the title. Amar'e averaged over 26 against those Spurs, would have been a huge booster in Game 5. Joakim Noah 2014. It appeared Dwight Howard was going to make every first team in the 2010s decade with no other superstar center, but fell off after leaving Orlando. With D-Rose's injuries, played just 10 games, Luol Deng played only 23. Noah was the focal point of the Bulls offense, averaged 12.6 points, over 11 rebounds, 5.5 assists, the best passing big at the time, 1.5 blocks, led the short-handed Bulls to 48 wins, won Defensive Player of the Year, finished 4th in MVP voting. That's how good Prime Noah was. Did all the dirty work, made all the hustle winning plays. His energy was contagious. Despite not being athletic or having the physical tools like Dwight Howard, I'd take 2014 Noah over 2014 Howard any day of the week. Noah simply outworked everybody. Prime Joakim made all his teammates better, but sadly fell off very quickly, especially when the Knicks offered him an insane contract. Marc Gasol 2015, the best player on the grit and grind Grizz, the 7-1 big averaged 17.5 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 1.6 steals on 49% shooting, led his team to 55 wins. His numbers don't show his overall impact, always at the right place at the right time, led his team to the semis, falling to Golden State with an injured Mike Conley. After Howard fell off and Noah being hurt, Gasol single-handedly saved Memphis from making the worst trade ever in 2008 when they sent his older brother Pau to the Lakers. The brothers' most memorable moment together, perhaps, both starting in the All-Star game, representing their conference, battled for the jump ball, an iconic moment. Marc Gasol's without a doubt the best player in Grizzlies franchise history as of now. DeAndre Jordan 2016, DJ wasn't even an All-Star that season and somehow made the list, an absolute head-scratcher. Many argue the All-NBA team should be positionless, which would have made more sense. Since there's plenty of superstar forwards and point guards nowadays, it makes absolutely zero sense. Superstar Chris Paul, who's easily by far the best player on the Clippers, made second team that season, and Jordan, who's not even close to being a top 10 player, made first team. Superstar Kevin Durant was a top 3 player in the league and only made second team because of Kawhi and LeBron LeBron's success, the fact that James Harden averaged 29, 6 and 7 in 2016, didn't even make an All-NBA team, and DJ made first is an absolute travesty amongst all travesties. Take Harden off the Rockets and replace him with Jordan, they wouldn't even be relevant. In the Lob City era, it was also shocking. Jordan made first team and Blake Griffin never did. Despite Griffin being a way better player, 2016 Jordan wouldn't even make any All-NBA team in the 90s. The Clippers won 53 games. Griffin only played in 35 of them. Jordan also made defensive first team, very close to winning defensive player of the year, would become an all-star the following year. Looking back at the 2016 first team selection of Westbrook, Curry, Leonard, LeBron, all deserving, but add DeAndre Jordan to the list, it still looks very strange. Those were 10 of the most forgotten stars who's made All-NBA first team over the last 30 years. Honorable mentions includes Grant Hill, Penny Hardaway, and Derrick Rose, 3 superstars who could have been all-time greats, perhaps all top 20 players if it wasn't for their injuries. Hill in 97 was the best small forward in the game until the early 2000s. Hardaway was seen as the next Jordan coming into the league, played very much like Magic Johnson before his injuries, while Rose became the youngest MVP all time toward his ACL. The following season, Hill would extend his career after missing most of his prime years. Hardaway became a shell of himself after leaving Orlando, while Rose has rejuvenated himself a few seasons after leaving Chicago. Thank you so much for watching this video. Subscribe for more content, more great stuff coming soon. I love all of you. See you next time.